This is the Bat Pod.
The Bat Pod presents Gotham Currents, a podcast about current releases of Batman comics.
Welcome to this episode of DC Currents. My name is Bill Beer, and joining me, as always, John Coos.
Hey, Bill. What's it say underneath your name there?
It says Batman. You know?
Oh, okay.
The previous episode you said you were Robin, and I should be Batman. So.
Okay. Well, we'll get synced up sooner or later. All right. How's it going?
Good. It's going real good. Tonight we're going to be discussing Titans number 18, Justice League Unlimited number 2. And the JSA number 3.
The Bat Pod is a spoiler podcast. Please read the comics we're reviewing so you can enjoy the show.
Trekker Talk.
A fan podcast devoted to the adventures of 23rd century bounty hunter Mercy St. Clair from the pages of Trekker Comics by writer and artist Ron Randall.
I'm Darren.
And I'm Ruth.
Please join us as we discuss the stories, characters, and art in this excellent retro sci-fi adventure series.
Special episodes feature interviews with Ron Randall himself discussing Trekker and his other comics.
We hope you'll join us as we travel from the dangerous backstreets of New Guelph to the depths of outer space and everywhere in between.
Listen at Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or visit TrekkerTalk.com.
Trekker Talk is part of the Rad Adventures Network at radadventuresnetwork.com.
All right. We're doing Titans 18. It's called All in the Family with writer John Layman, artist Pete Woods, letterer Wes Abbott, and editor Brittany Holzer. What'd you think of this cover, Bill?
This cover looks pretty cool. Well, you have the Titans being punched by a very big fist.
Before you read the book, did you suspect who that fist belonged to?
I thought it was Giganta at first, but because that's a humongous fist compared to all the Titans there. Yeah,
I thought it was who it turned out to be based on that bracelet. I just thought it might be Mammoth, and it is Mammoth. Okay. But anyway, we'll get into the book right now. So cover's pretty good. So we find out our heroes are moving into a 300-foot deep bunker in Manhattan at the site of a former Titans tower. Roy is complaining that they should be moving into the Titans wing of the new Watchtower instead of being underground like mice. Cyborg doesn't seem too happy either. Donna has made this decision because of the chaos going on in Bloodhaven with the gang war depicted in the Nightwing comic, which we cover on Gotham Currents. Donna seems to be insecure in her leadership of the team and intends to prove her worth by doing things her way. Dick is having a hard time letting her lead, and so is Roy. Raven seems like a hot mess now that she has both her good and evil sides rolled into one body. A disturbance is detected on the streets of Manhattan. Red Tornado on the JLU Watchtower offers reinforcements. Donna rejects them, intent on not being seen as former sidekicks who need help with anything. We find Mammoth and his sister Shimmer rampaging. Shimmer believes she's being mentally attacked by the Titans. Donna attempts to take charge, ordering Cyborg, Nightwing, and herself to take on Mammoth. She tells Starfire and Raven to look after civilians in harm's way. Roy bucks her orders and channels Raven's emotional schizophrenia into raging against Mammoth. It does the job, but Donna is angry. Nightwing barks some orders, which also makes Donna mad. Beast Boy turns into a giant gorilla and knocks out Shimmer. Donna tells Mammoth that they weren't responsible for the psychic attack on Shimmer. Nevertheless, Mammoth smashes through the pavement and escapes into a sewer and vows to get his sister back now in the custody of the Titans. We find out the newly empowered Clock King was manipulating Shimmer as part of Deathstroke's plan to coax Mammoth toward joining his new team, the Crime Syndicate. All right. Another fun, action-packed issue of Titans. What do you say, Bill?
It's interesting to see how it's all connected. You know, the DC universe with the Justice League Unlimited after All In seems to be connecting everything kind of nicely. If you're like a continuity junkie, I love this kind of thing. There are some people that don't. They just want whatever happens in their book not to reach into others. But I sort of enjoy how this is connected. I mean, it sort of connects the Nightwing book with the Titans book, with the JLU book. You know, I don't know why they needed to move to New York, but this underground Titans tunnel is pretty cool looking, I do have to say.
Yeah, no, that was pretty cool. I guess the writer just didn't want to deal with the distraction of, I guess, the gang war in Bloodhaven or something. Interesting. I mean, interesting move. I guess I like the that Donna's having a tough time with these strong-willed men leading this team, especially Roy and Dick. I mean, Dick was the leader, so it's hard for him to let go. So I don't think he's intentionally doing it. In fact, when they're in the field and he does sort of this Titans scramble thing or whatever he yelled out, I don't think it was like trying to like usurp her leadership as much as it's just instinctual for him. But Roy, ever since he got back on this team, has been sort of a jerk to everybody.
Yeah, well, he's been a little off.
Which I almost wonder if that's going to culminate in something. But the book's got this really cool cartoony feel, which I like a lot for this book. There was one thing that I thought was interesting. I mean, not to nitpick on Donna's strategy, but like to take on Mammoth, Nightwing, Cyborg, and me on Mammoth, Beast Boy and Arsenal on Shimmer, and then she put Starfire and Raven to help get the civilians out of harm's way. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I would have probably put Starfire on Mammoth.
Right. Yeah, she seems to be one of the more powerful ones.
Yeah.
But if you're a long-time Teen Titans reader, you know, you will recognize these characters. The Fearsome Five, well, only the Fearsome Two is here, but long-time Titan characters, and I like seeing Layman pull these characters in. I mean, we got the Clock King and Deathstroke, and I like this team that's starting assembled. Before I get into the ending there and what annoys me a little bit, I like this full-page panel, as you said, the artwork, you know, where they have the title page and the creators. I really like that, and they're running through the city and headed into action. I like seeing all the characters like that. That is a nice, the way the artwork done. It's sort of, I guess, sort of cartoony, but you know, enough that I really like the way it's depicted here. And Donna is struggling a little bit. I think it's good because Roy and Dick, you know, have always been a Dick. Basically has been in charge here, and it's hard for him to just change his instincts, you know, of being a leader. It's kind of difficult.
Yeah, for sure. The page that you're talking about, I think, is the one that has all the credits on it. It says all the family at the top. Mm-hmm. So the page before that is like a number of pages where they're moving in and they're bickering and everything else. And then Donna, if you look at the last panel on the previous page, she literally is happy that there's a crisis to distract from the team's dysfunction. I thought that was kind of funny.
Because Raven she's gone through a lot. You know, her personality has been splintered in previous stories here, so it goes off on them a little bit, which is like a teenager, because they're basically, some of these characters are still like teens. Or at least Raven feels like it. Raven feels like she's either an older teen or early 20s.
Maybe Gar too.
Yeah.
Maybe Gar too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So let's get into this Deathstroke putting together this team. I mean, I agree. That's kind of fun, and it'll be fun to see who he recruits. But go ahead.
The name that they come up with, the Crime Syndicate. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you come up with the name of the Crime Syndicate? You know, there's already a bunch of villains, maybe not necessarily in this universe. You know, they're from a parallel universe. The Crime Syndicate with Ultraman and
Superwoman and Owlman and all that. Yeah, but he even says it, like, taking our name from a fake Justice League. I mean, he goes out of his way to say that. I almost wonder if that was an editor's call, like, or something. Like, we got to make sure people, like, don't confuse this with the Crime Syndicate and get their continuity willies in a bunch. But yeah, like, Slade Wilson couldn't be a little more original than naming his team after the Earth 3 Justice League. I mean,
that didn't get me excited. I mean, overall, I like this book.
Like, why?
Why would you do that?
Yeah, why?
We have a crime syndicate. Come up with something else.
One thing I noticed is also, maybe it's his shadows or the way it was colored, but if you look at his face.
Yeah, his face is a little weird. It's got like squiggly lines all over it.
It's almost like it's melting or something. It's strange.
I think it's made because he has some damage on his face from, like, his face was burnt or something like that, and I'm not a Titan continuity.
I guess so.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
Yeah. I guess it was kind of interesting also that the Clock King was all like, I've got a new method. I'm going to hone my psychic powers on one versus diffusing it. That's what I did wrong last time. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. And I can't really tell, I guess I should have said this earlier. I can't really tell what his power set is. I guess it's still this thing where you make the person think that they're back in time, or are they back in time, or they just think they're back in time. And so I guess Shimmer thought she was battling the Titans today, but it was really memories of her past. I'm a little still hazy on exactly like what he can do.
Yeah, it wasn't really, besides having a tumor of some sort in his brain, it wasn't really discussed what his powers were, what these new powers were.
Yeah, so anyway, but I still like this book. It's a quick, I mean, the one thing I like in conclusion, I mean, it's the dialogue's fun, the art's fun, there's action, and it kind of reads kind of fast, which I kind of get bummed at the end, like, oh gosh, it's already over. And I guess in some ways that could be attributed to some comic books where they hardly have any word bubbles and dialogue. It's just a bunch of art. But that's not the case. There's tons of dialogue in this, and yet I feel like it goes fast because it's kind of a fun read for me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it does seem to go. It's definitely faster than Justice League Unlimited.
Okay, well, that's a good bridge. So you're covering Justice League Unlimited, number 2.
Your writer, Mark Waid, artist, Dan Mora, colors, Tamara Bonvillain, letter, Ariana Meyer, associate editor, Marcus Draper, and editor, Paul Comiskey. And we get a cover here, and Superman, the Blue Beetle, Mary Marvel, the Martian Manhunter, Batman appear to be getting devoured or attacked by little demons, parademons. What did you think of this cover?
It kind of reminds me, and I know this is coincidental because it's that it's Mark Waid as the writer, but it kind of reminds me of a cover you'd see on World's Finest, the current run, because it's just kind of got this sort of, I don't know, retro feel of all kinds of crazy action going on. That's a little like over the top to me. I don't know. It's all right. It didn't do a lot for me though. I don't know.
No, I think it was okay. I mean,
okay, well, you love it.
It gets you, I didn't say I loved it, but it gets me interested to open up the book here. What these things are, even if it doesn't actually happen in the book, but it's okay.
True.
That's okay.
I mean, well, sometimes I think they save, I I mean, we don't ever talk about variants, but sometimes these variants are really great. I don't know, maybe in the future we should, because like this issue in particular has like a whole bunch of great variants. I don't know if you ever look at them online.
Oh yeah, I haven't looked at this one, but I know at least issue number 1 had a ton, and they do have 3 to 4 at least variants. You know,
oh, this one I think it's got like 8, but they'll whittle it down to 3 probably at some point. Anyway,
wait till we get to the Hush 2 book. The first issue of that has like 25 variants. That's crazy.
That's a bit crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hear about this book.
Okay. So after receiving a distress signal from Batman, the Justice League has deployed a team consisting of Superman, Wonder Woman, Star Sapphire, Dr. Occult, Martian Manhunter, Black Lightning, and Mary Marvel to Monte Verde, Costa Rica. They arrived just in time to fight a horde of parademons that had risen from a nearby forest. Batman explains that he and Blue Beetle were investigating a nest of alien eggs and were attacked by parademons, and Blue Beetle had been taken. The team splits up. Batman, Superman, Star Sapphire, Black Lightning remain behind to fight the parademons. Wonder Woman, Mary Marvel go to destroy the nest, while Martian Manhunter and Dr. Occult attempt to find the missing children. Wonder Woman and Mary Marvel find the nest and attempt to carry it into outer space, but Mary is attacked by Parademon, but Black Lightning takes him out. In Singapore, a man has grown to a towering size through mysterious circumstances. Atom Smasher rushes in. Ray Palmer and Ryan Choi jump from his shoulder and activate a device that hits the metahuman with a beam that returns him to normal size and re-energizes Atom Smasher. Back at the Watchtower, Mr. Terrific, Stargirl, and Red Tornado attempt to find more information about the mysterious organization Inferno, while Airwave listens in. In the forest, Martian Manhunter confesses to Dr. Occult that he is missing his ocular powers and telepathy. John and Dr. Occult find a cave that houses the missing children and a different kind of parademon that Darkseid sent to Earth to oversee a nest of parademons, and he wants to offer the children as tribute to Darkseid, who would train those children for his army. The parademon hopes that such tribute will help him return home until John informs him that Darkseid is dead. Outraged by the news, the parademon attacks. John retaliates with ferocity of his own. He brutally attacks the parademon. The Justice League stop him. He is ashamed of himself and flees on his own. Our issue ends with the Justice League showing concern for John and set out to find him to discover what is wrong. So we have our second issue of Justice League Unlimited. There was a lot going on in the first issue. This one seems a little bit more focused on, what's going on here in Costa Rica with the parademons and that sort of thing. What did you think of this team that's put together, Costa Rica, that was Superman and Dr. Occult? Well, I didn't even know who he was, by looking at him. I wasn't sure who that character was because I had mentioned it to you offline.
Well, yeah, you did mention that. I mean, the only reason I know who he was is because I've read a lot of Who's Who over the years, and I bought the omnibus, I have two omnibuses, and I've kind of been geeking out over it. And I like looking at some of those early characters, and I think he predates Superman. I think he's from like 35, but to your question, so I did know who he was, but to your question, like, this is a weird, I mean, not weird. The fact that he's there is weird. When they're coming out of that boom tube, to me, I'm like, okay, you got someone with a ring powers. You got, and everybody else. I mean, except for Dr. Occult, arguably the next weakest character from a power set standpoint is probably Black Lightning. But this is like a crazy powered group, if you think about it.
It is.
It's like Mary Marvel. I mean, you got 3 players, four characters, counting Martian Manhunter, Mary Marvel, Superman, Wonder Woman, who have like, I don't know, strength levels like the Hulk
off the
practically.
charts.
You know. So anyway,
and I guess the biggest thing about this team with Dr. Occult, I was familiar with the name Dr. Occult, but I didn't recognize who he was from this picture. It looked like Indiana Jones for a minute, you know?
Well, it looks like a 30s private eye or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, the art's really great throughout. I liked it when I thought it was kind of cool when you had the let's call them the Atom team, like and the Singapore thing is this like it's like a side story going on, or is this like tied in?
I think it's just showing Atom Smasher lost some of his power, and it's been given out to all these normal people spread over. Mm-hmm. So when they use this device to get it back, he's getting stronger.
I see.
So I think that's what's going on is, you know, and they're the team kind of, if you've been reading that other Justice League book where the atoms are in there, they're trying to get these lost powers.
I haven't started it yet. I'm a little behind due to some work trips, but I'm going to catch up. So that's good. I like these tie-ins. So we talked about that before, that these mini series. Yeah, I thought this was cool. We'll see where it goes. I mean, I have a prediction that within a year's time in our world, everybody's going to get their powers back. I don't think this whole redistribution of powers thing has really gone over great with fandom. To me, it didn't go over great for me.
Right.
But I think they're cleaning that up a little bit as they go.
Yeah, I think the story is sort of going to be done with that. I mean, the new Aquaman book that came out, he sort of has, you know, different added on powers there where he can control water. You know what Mera,
like Mera does.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't read. I'm a week behind on Ultra. So there's this one scene that in the Watchtower where we see a lurking airwave.
Yes.
I mean, that's going to be a constant theme.
Right.
And then the Stargirl's hanging out with Mr. Terrific, who really are JSAers. But I like this stuff with Mary Marvel and Wonder Woman. I don't know. I love it. I like the one thing I like about the book, aside from just the main story, is he's putting together characters that don't hang out with each other very often, and it's just kind of, you create a new dynamic of team ups.
Yes, instead of like a team of like the top 7 heroes or whatever, the Justice League heroes, we get a little flavor of other characters that we don't necessarily see all that much, and I really like the way that they're using them in here, especially on certain teams. I mean, it's using all the toys in the box, you know, and I would like to continue seeing that happen because I really enjoyed see where this is going.
Yeah, so this whole thing about Martian Manhunter not being honest with the Justice League about his power set, I don't know if that sat that well with me a little bit in terms of who John Jones, whatever. You say John Johns or John Jones?
John Jones.
John Jones. Okay, because I don't know. It just felt odd for him as a guy who always has this even keel character. Not you know, his persona is one of honesty and all that. That he's hiding something from the team, like, because they would be able to take it well. And
yeah, I don't know what exactly is going on there.
Yeah, so we'll see.
One thing I enjoyed about, you know, this scene with him and Dr. Occult is Dr. Occult basically is talking about when John first came to Earth and that he was fighting crime in secret. And he's telling him, and he says, you were Superman before there was a Superman. Maybe not as quite as strong and that sort of thing. But he admired him.
Yeah, and he knew who he was for some reason.
Right, and John comes back, and he's like, for some reason he's very down or something is going on. He's like, that is no longer the case. I'm not confided this, but you deserve to know I'm following you rather than vice versa. It's like he's lost confidence or something. Something is going on here, and I assume that we're going to find out. Because he didn't want to say anything to the league because he's afraid that he'd be sidelined.
Yeah, that's my issue. Is that then maybe you should be sidelined.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, and also now that you brought this up in more specificity, it didn't ring true to his previous role for a long number of years in different incarnations of the Justice League, where he's just fine, including the cartoon, with being on the Watchtower, sort of directing traffic. So I don't know. We'll see where Wade takes it. I have trust in Mark Wade, but
he kind of goes off on this parademon.
Yeah,
and he turns into basically a monster and says, "You're sick of being alone." And if he goes off and shows him that he's a monster, and John is like, he's definitely not right.
Yeah, for sure. It was fun. It's fun. It's a fun book.
Yeah, I like this a lot. I'm curious to see where the John thing is going. We're going to get more of the Inferno, which might be the big bad in this book currently. We are getting a crossover here before too long. I'm not going to spoil anything here, but this crossover is pretty exciting. I think it's coming like in April or something like that. And it's actually going to come in the Batman Superman World's Finest book. And they did something similar in the first arc of the World's Finest, where it was a flashback with this demon, and it was Lazarus Planet. It came into that a little bit, into the Batman crossover, which I know was your favorite. So I'm interested to see how this is going to work out, because it's in the Justice League Unlimited book too, so it should be pretty exciting.
What do you think that they're going to be really smart and bring Power Girl into this book in a big way, other than standing?
Who is
like
that?
100.
Did you Power Girl? Is she still?
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's still out there.
If you think about it, she's not really being used besides her own book. What team is she being used on? She's not really being used on a team. Besides Superman team, I guess, the Super Family. But she did lose her little jacket there that I know you loved.
Well, I mean, we're not going to go on a big Power Girl thing, but I think they are, talk about cleanups. I think they are cleaning up her too. I mean, it goes back to the Lazarus Planet stuff with her getting sort of this psychic power thing, whatever. I think that's gone. The jacket's gone, and also they're starting to ease. In this last issue of Power Girl that I read, they're getting. I think they're going away from the fan hated alter ego name change, which was Paige Stetler. Now they're starting to call her Karen Starr again.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think she's starting to get cleaned up, and
there must be a little bounce back about that. Because
let's just hope that it ends up with the writer going to do Harley Quinn full time or something. But okay, cool. So let's move on to JSA number 3. You got the cover for that? Okay, we got the cover for that. We have a artist Diego Olertuegue. God, Bill, if you can get that better, Diego Olertuegue. Okay. Colors Luis Guerrero, letters Steve Wantz, editor Andrew Marino. This is Ragnarok Part 3. So what do you think of the cover?
This cover looks okay. It's Hawkman as we saw him at the end of last issue. He took a flaming sword through his chest, and I don't know who that guy's in the background, have an idea when we get in this book, but I thought it's okay. Yeah. The artwork looks okay to me.
Yeah. The artwork, you talked about it before, is I don't know. I think it's inconsistent and uneven at times, but let's go. So I think, so this is Ragnarok Part 3. The subtitle of this book could have been Back to the Chaos, because this book is pretty chaotic. So our story opens with Hawkman captured in a sort of a version of hell, tied and bound to a stake with all his nth metal armor off. In our last issue, he was stabbed through the chest, as you said, by this fiery sword. Demons are joyously taunting him. He's tied up by intestines of fallen angels, after all. That's pretty hilarious. The demons also call him a Thanagarian. I missed when Carter was once again a Thanagarian as opposed to an Earthman, so Bill will have to explain that to me at the end of this. Carter notices he doesn't have the wound that he suffered in the last issue. The demons say that they healed him because this is his last life. And so you'll have to tell me about that too. Anyway, we switch scenes to Jade looking forlorn with a big Infinity Inc. banner on top of the page, sort of like back in issue 1. And it makes less sense to me now than it did then. She's bummed out because the JSA old guys are still missing, along with Khalid, Dr. Fate. Sand offers her a company and wants to be her boyfriend. She's not having it. Not right now, with half her team missing. We turn to Beth Chapel, a.k.a. Dr. Midnight, analyzing the comatose Hakeem Thunder's blood. She spots something bizarre and rushes to the others, but she's stopped by Johnny Sorrow, who is disguised as Obsidian. Now we're going back to hell. Wotan's there now. He's taunting Carter, pointing out something Bill will further explain, that he and Kendra aren't in love like he was with Shiara. I think to imply that he won't be reincarnated because they aren't in love. We move to the Tower of Fate, where Khalid put the JSA in issue 1 to escape something I can't remember. The new Injustice Society is there, manhandling Jay Garrick. In another part of the tower, we get a weird argument and conversation between Wildcat and Khalid. Khalid is whining about not being a good Dr. Fate. He's right. And Wildcat tells him to buck up, which seems to work because he appears where Jay is being knocked around and sends the bad guys through a magical portal. We move to a scene also in the tower with Hawkgirl and Alan Scott. She says she needs to go to that hell place to rescue Carter. Alan says it's dangerous. Well, yeah, it's superhero stuff, Alan. Anyway, Kendra says that even though she isn't in love with him, she must go. Back to hell again, the demons leave Carter to be sacrificed to a giant demon named Surtur. He's doomed, but a voice from the shadows emerges. It's a gal who calls herself Kid Eternity, and she says she's gonna bust out of there. Before we talk about this, a couple fun facts. I looked up some of these characters, Bill. I don't know if you did or not. So Surtur, this demon, debuted in the last days of the Justice Society Special number 1 back in 86. And according to DC Fandom, he's the leader of the fire giants from Muspelheim, destined to burn Earth in the day of Ragnarok. So, okay, hence the title, I guess. And then this Kid Eternity, the first one appeared in Hit Comics number 25 back in 42, and he's had many roles throughout the DC history in various forms and times, but this is the first time Kid Eternity seems to be a female. I did a little research because I know you do that, and I like it when you do, so I thought I'd throw that out there. So
yeah, that's pretty
right,
cool.
Bill.
The Kid Eternity, Grant Morrison even had a series, I think back in the 90s, late 90s or something like that.
Yeah. I actually was planning on summarizing it all, but there's been so many sort of cameo type, or he just shows up every 15 to 20 years, but kind of with a reboot, like a different origin and a different purpose. So I just kind of just went with the OG and then just kind of fast forwarded to now. But I think he showed up in 80 years, 5 times as different people or something, different kinds of characters. So anyway, so now it's a girl. But back to the book.
This book seems to be slowly moving in the first 3 issues. I've enjoyed what we've gotten, but it hasn't really furthered the overall story, but because we're still seem to be back in time, or were we caught up? Remember last issue?
There was a little. It was like a 5 or 6 day flashback. I think we're current now.
It catches up now that Dr. Fate showed up here and sent everybody, the Injustice Society, back. They banished them out of the tower. I do like some of the interactions here. The one thing I don't understand is I would love somebody to explain me what all these titles are.
Yeah, at the top of the pages.
Yeah, I understand Infinity Inc. has a couple characters that were Infinity Inc. The Mystery Men, I don't know what the purpose of the titles.
I don't either, because in the first issue, it was almost aligned with sort of the eras of the JSA and sort of JSA offshoots, but to bring it back again now, I mean, even the first time it wasn't totally aligned to me. We analyzed it a little bit and then kind of gave up. And that now that they brought him back, just because Jade's in this, so Jade was in the Injustice, Infinity Inc. We know that. And so, but did they just put it at the top of this page just because Jade was in Infinity Inc. and then don't even reference Infinity Inc.? Sand wasn't in Infinity Inc., I don't think. So I don't know what that whole thing is about either. I kind of hope that this book bridges into, okay, we're going to get those guys out of the tower at some point. It's kind of getting monotonous to me that the old guys are in the tower.
Yeah, it's been 3 issues. It's time. I know they kind of flash back a little. The 4th issue should go forward. We get Hawkman, Carter Hall.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit.
Okay.
I think did I get that more or less right? But I did. How did Kendra? I mean, in this continuity.
So in this continuity, so let me just go back.
Okay, go back.
And there are Egyptian Prince Khufu and Princess Shayra, were murdered, and they keep getting reincarnated.
Yeah, because they love each other so much.
Yes, they keep getting reincarnated into different characters. This reincarnation of Shayra went into Kendra Sanders. And she didn't immediately, if you go back to the first Jeff Johns run, she didn't immediately remember her past.
Right.
Carter remembers all his past lives. She didn't easily remember, but she didn't have the same feeling, in love with him that he feels for her. But then it kind of gets confusing because we also had a different Carter Hall that was it was a Thangarian. And, he was a Thangarian police officer, and he comes to Earth. They sort of merged those together. There was a Vendini run maybe a couple of years ago that sort of merged all these characters into one. I don't know. I seem to lean towards the version that was a Thangarian police officer and they came to Earth. But I know the version that Jeff Johns wrote there in the 2000s is the reincarnated version. It's sort of merged into a little bit of both. But the gist of this is he's in love with Shayra, but Shayra is in the body of Kendra Sanders. But he also found the Hawkwoman. He also found her in that series, Shayra Hall, from Thangar. And so she is alive, but that's where it gets confusing with Hawkman. I'm not going to say that I can explain every detail of how this works, but I know at least for this version, the incarnated love is in Kendra Sanders' body. And the reason, I don't know the reason why you can't reincarnate. It sounds like they're just going to keep him in hell, and he's not going to be able to reincarnate because he keeps her from the lost love, but it has something to do with her not being in love with him, and she thinks of him more like a big brother than anything else.
Good job. No, I mean it was a good attempt. I mean I think Jeff Johns tried his best to clean all this up way back then. There was a mini series that was a crossover between JSA and I think the Hawkman book that he was writing, both called Black Rain, and he kind of tidied up the whole Couture the whole Thanagarian version of Hawkman from Hawk World, that prestige book that came out like in 80, like in 90 or whatever. I think he tried to tidy up, but it's so hard to get my head around it sometimes that I just kind of give up. Sometimes.
It's kind of been rebooted, I don't know how many times. And then there was at one time, early on, like there were two versions. And then they kind of went all in when they did the Hawk World book that he was a Thankarian and
right.
And then 0 Hour, which I'm gonna have to reread that to I really explain how he merged into a different Hawkman.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I like Kendra, and I remember fondly how that John series of how Carter was in love with her and she wasn't in love with him. I did like that arc or two. I mean, it lasted a while. This is a little different. They both don't love each other. And I mean, give some credit to what Lemire's trying to do here. He's trying to put a new spin on this thing, a layer, which is because they don't like truly like are in love with each other, that he might not get reincarnated this time, which I think is at least interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not like he's died. He's gonna get ready and die, and that. Well,
I don't think he's gonna die. I think this kid Eternity Girl's gonna rescue him anyway.
Yeah. Something's going on here. I like the interplay between Wildcat and this new Dr. Fate, because I don't know much about this new Dr. Fate. I don't really trust this new Dr. Fate that he knows what he's doing.
No, he doesn't.
But Wildcat gives him a speech here that is pretty decent, and I feel like these are characters, these old JSA characters, they feel familiar to me. It feels like he has a handle on some of these characters. I mean, we even have newer relationships with Jade and Sand that seems kind of interesting. Overall, I really like this book. I don't know what's going on with, Jakeem Thunder, because I work in science and I see what she's looking through the microscope, and I don't know what that looks like. Just a bunch of squiggly lines. I don't know what that is.
In a weird way, okay, look, I sound like I don't like it. I don't dislike it. I guess I want more from it. I almost wish they had started with a subset of characters to get, like, let's just call it the Jade team of some kind that was maybe the younger ones, just to get some characterization and relationships going or something. It's like, it just feels like I'm drinking from a fire hose with this book a little bit. Like it's like, I don't know, but it's okay. It'll probably settle out. I mean, they haven't even explored Jade that much yet, because I don't think they have enough pages to explore her as a true haven't. Leader.
They've been all over because the team seems to be all over the place, and
right.
They're
also supposed to be tethered to the Justice League Unlimited too somehow, which we'll see how. Well, that'll take place in like a crossover probably, but
yeah, I don't know how long this first arc is going to be, but the team really hasn't been all together.
Well, what's funny, and I hopefully I'm around to talk about it with you in 20 years, but so if you go back post-crisis, and I know there's a podcast about some of these books that came out in the 90s where the JSA reemerged as part of the continuity of the post-crisis continuity, and then that was successful enough for James Robinson and others to kind of keep playing with the Golden Age, and then it led to Johns doing what he did with one of my favorite books ever, JSA, Justice Society, in the 2000s, and they kind of explained that the Flash and Alan Scott could be old because of the Starheart and the Speed Force, and so back then it was like let's say it was 2000. So 2000 would be like 55 years off the end of World War II. And so, you kind of figured, okay, they should be in their, 80s or something. Well, now they're like 100. Like if they really were in World War II,
Right.
now they're like 100. And so I guess you could still use this Speed Force thing. I maybe it applies to Wildcat. Maybe there was something. Maybe somebody out there could tell us why Wildcat still kicking.
They were in limbo for a while. So does that?
Okay, so there's so in 20 years it'll be like 100 years since World War II. Like, do you think like the JSA will still be like sort of still playing off something that happened in real life 100 years ago? I mean, it's kind of funny, but I don't know. I'm fine with it, but it'll just be as it gets further and further away from World War II, they've got to probably keep changing how they're still around. You know?
Yeah, they keep using that. I mean, you know, it's like pre-crisis, post-crisis kind of thing.
Maybe they need another crisis.
Yeah, I know. At one point, they you know, this is Marvel, but the Punisher was like from the Vietnam War, and then other versions of the Punisher made him be like from the Iraq War and that sort of thing to kind of update. So I don't know where you don't want to think about that stuff too much because it won't make any sense.
Fair enough. But this one last, I should have mentioned this earlier because it's not a great last thing. But there's so many characters in this book. It kind of goes back to what I said before. It's like this issue doesn't even have Jesse Quick and Our Man, which is like, I guess there's just not enough pages. Like, what are they doing right now? I mean, are they still angry with you? Are they still pissed off at each other?
Yeah, I guess that hasn't been touched on, so we'll see them. This had a lot of Hawkman in it, actually.
A lot of Hawkman,
yeah,
which I thought was interesting.
I'm not complaining, but
I'm not complaining either. Okay, cool.
And this was talking about Hawkman. This is pretty funny about the two little demons fighting over all his equipment. His mace and his helmet and that sort of thing, and then the other.
Actually, all that demon stuff was pretty funny. Actually, yeah. It's a strange book in some ways. But there is some good, and it's drawn in a way that it is funny. Like just the way that they're drawn.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. It's really weird. So, but it's fine. It's fun. It's. If I got my pile of books after 1 month, it's probably halfway down the pile right now. In terms of reading order.
Oh, so you got a big pile sitting there ready?
No, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like okay. Well, anyway. All right. So, yeah, we had a couple weeks there where we both had obligations. So I think we're making some good progress and catching up here.
Yeah, we'll actually be back tomorrow for a regular Gotham Current, so we'll get caught up on our Bat books, and we'll be back next month with another edition of DC Currents.
Yeah.
So, should be pretty exciting. So, until next time, thank you for staying current with DC Currents. We will see you later.